really a writer and a filmmaker. I started as a filmmaker and began to write when in a period where I couldn't get money for films, and then since then I've written a couple of books. So I guess I'm both. Well, you know, to me it's quite natural, because to direct my own book, I had done it with Personal Velocity as well. And what I find is I find I'm quite free in terms of being able to throw things out or rearrange plot, or, you know, I mean, I do tend to use a lot of the same words, but then again, you know, the structure is different, and in fact some of the plot's different, and there are a lot of characters. There's some characters that are missing in a lot of events that obviously are in the book that you wouldn't fit. So I just find I'm quite free, and the nice thing about having written the whole book is you know the characters really well, and each character, even the smallest characters like Kat, or, you know, I know stuff about them that might not be on screen, but I know, and also the actor has access to that information too. So it kind of makes for very well-rounded characters, and you have a lot of it's just a lot of, it's like a well of knowledge that you have. My style working with the actors, I mean, I think that I tend to be, I don't know, you know, it's so hard. I don't know what I'm like on set because I'm doing it, so I'm not watching myself. But I think I try to give each actor what they need individually, which is different. I mean, different actors do need different things. Some actors, often very young actors, need a lot of input and a lot of attention and need to be guided. Not so much on this set, because everyone really was pretty experienced, but I made another film, Jack and Rose, in which we were working with very young people, and that would be the case. And then some people need a lot of distance. Other people need a lot of just talking about things. And you have to kind of intuit who needs what. I really believe that you shouldn't fix it if it's not broke. And I think that sometimes directors make the mistake of talking too much. And one of my experiences, you know, having worked as an actress for some years, was the greatest education I could have had, because I actually experienced firsthand how a director can actually kill any feeling that you actually had bubbling up in you by talking about it too much. Actually, how tough was it to get Alan Arkin? It was actually fairly tough. And the reason is that, well, first of all, I sent it to him, and I got word that he wanted to talk to me. So I called him. He was in someplace like, I think Hawaii or something at that moment, somewhere exotic. Anyway, and I called him, and he said, well, I read the script, and I said yes, and he said, and I don't want to have this experience. I said, oh, okay. He said, I know this man, I know him very well, and I don't want to be him. I said, okay. And then we had a very nice chat, and I hung up, and I called the casting director. I said, well, he passed. She said, really? I said, yeah. She said, that's very odd. I said, well, so who do we go to next? And she said, well, wait a minute. Let me just go make a couple of calls. So she called his agent and said, okay, so he passed. And then apparently the next day I get a call. He wants to talk to you again. Apparently his agent and his manager and his lawyer all yelled at him because he keeps saying there are no good parts. And here was a part that he acknowledged was a good part, that he knew, you know, he knew this guy very well, but he didn't want, and it was a sign of what a great actor he is, actually, that he said, he didn't say, I don't want to play this part. He said, I don't want to have this experience. And that, because he knew that he had to be Herb, and to be Herb, you know, is hard because he had to commit a lot of crimes of the heart. But anyway, in that subsequent conversation, he started saying things like, well, on page 33, what if I say this? And on 42, what if I say this? And what if I kiss her on the head? And then I was like, okay, that's, all his ideas were great, because he has a background in improvisation, and he's fantastic musical ear for dialogue and humor. And at the end of it, I suddenly realized that we're talking as if, like, I'm the director and he's the actor, and we're working on it. I said, so are you doing it? He said, I guess so. So that's how he ended up doing it. It's about the process of writing and getting alienated from the book, potentially, once it's done, right? Well, you know, it's interesting, because in a way, when I'm writing a book, I'm completely writing the book, and that's all I'm doing, and I feel like a writer, and that's what I am. I'm a novelist at that time. Then I go and I write the screenplay and make the film, and then I'm the filmmaker. And I guess at those two times, I'm more one or the other. But what's interesting is that then I'll go and do a reading of the book, and then I'm back in the book. The book exists. What I like is that I do feel that they're quite distinct, although I think the essence is the same. And you probably, I think they're much more different than I think a lot of people who read the book and then see the film, I think, feel they're more similar than I feel that they are. But I go back to the book, and the Pippa that I wrote originally is still there. And she's not Robin. She's Pippa, the other Pippa, And yet Robin did, I think, capture the essence of my first Pippa. So I guess the answer is, when I'm doing one thing, I'm really just doing that thing. And then I go back and I realize that, no, that the first, the book still exists and on its own terms, and it's still just a book. And I guess that's why I like doing it, is that to me, they are so distinct, It's like a completely different adventure. Yeah, are there things that change? I think that's almost part of the beauty of doing it, really, is that when you cast, I always think of casting as like the die is cast, like you throw the die, and it's really an act of such faith to cast a part, because you're giving someone something that is very precious to you, and you're saying, now please interpret this. And yeah, you can sculpt it a little bit and pull them this way or that way, but fundamentally you're asking them to create a character. And that is all surprise. That in a way, as much as writing a book is all about controlling a world, directing a film, there's an element of control, but finally also you have to embrace being out of control a little bit too. You have to embrace surprise and, and I think one of the things I like about directing my own things that come from me is that I learn about what I did. Like, the characters, the actors actually teach me what was inside the characters. They act by interpreting them, they reveal them to me. So it happens all the time. I remember seeing Julianne Moore come on and play Kat, and that was just, she was different from the original Kat that I saw. But then suddenly I just saw so many other things about Kat that I hadn't even really noticed, but they were there. She was interpreting something that was kind of implicit. So, and I remember just the excitement of her performance on those days, and and that was true of everybody. Well, how I came up with Pippa, I already mentioned that I had run into this woman, so that was a bit of a seed. The name Pippa Lee really just came to me. And in some ways I feel that although there was a kind of seed and a basis and that, a grounding in this meeting of this woman that I hadn't seen in a long time, I sort of feel that Pippa almost came to me from outside. Pippa's not, she is an amalgam of people I've known to a degree, but she's also, I think of her almost like as somebody who exists outside of myself that I would like to know. Her name came to me, Pippa Lee. I don't really know why. I don't really know a Pippa. And yeah, she was one of those gifts, and you have a few in your life, I think, that just came. Can you tell us when the film is going to be released? November 27th, which is very close.
So tell all your friends to see The Private Lives of Pippa Lee. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.